I learned early that talent alone doesn't take you far. To succeed beyond your immediate environment, you need discipline, the ability to adapt, and the courage to act. My name is Ezinne Nwazulu. I'm an entrepreneur and I lead 234Finance. 234Finance is a platform dedicated to promoting African entrepreneurship through content, community, collaboration, capacity building, mentorship, and access to finance. Every mistake or every stumbling block you encounter as a young entrepreneur navigating the world of business, or a young career person trying to navigate career and development, there's so many resources. If I compare the access that we have today, even just, going on YouTube to watch videos, the resources are immense, right? So there's really no excuse. There's so many tools, so many skills that you can literally just, go on YouTube, go on the internet and teach yourself and monetize those skills. So I think, it's very important to establish competency. So we hosted an event last year, and a spa owner really wanted me to, she wanted me to see her brand and patronize her business. I get that quite a lot. So I go to the spa and I was so shocked when I got there because she was the one giving the massage. And, I was just very confused because I thought to myself, but you're the business owner, like you're not a massage therapist. Why are you giving the massage? So first of all, there was lack of transparency because she was probably worried that I would reject the opportunity for me to come to her space and all of that. But she ended up screwing everything up because she's not a massage therapist, right? And I took that opportunity to kind of coach her and say, I'm happy to give you free coaching. And, I linked her up with somebody that I think she should be collaborating with, because sometimes, even when you run a business, you can have the brains, you can have the ideas, but you don't have to do everything by yourself. And I tried to give her that coaching, right? But what I want you to take out of this is she was willing to give a free service just to, show proof of concept and get that feedback. And for me, taking a free service, because I'm very value driven, so I felt the need to also give something back to this person. And when you're building competence in your journey, giving is very essential because it also helps you collect data and it helps you test your product to know when the market is ready for your product, and you can now start monetizing. So what does positioning look like? I say that in today's world, you have, it's so interesting, like you have access to a global audience and anybody can pretty much get access to what you're doing through your content, through what you're sharing, and through how you position yourself. And regardless of our differences, our cultures, there's still so many similarities between us that make us connect and that make us inherently human, right? So when you're trying to push a brand, pushing a personal brand, I've seen that having a personal brand is not even anything you can shy away from, right? And what people buy or who people key into is actually the individual, then it extends to your business. So how are you positioning yourself? Who is your target audience? What traction have you built over time that will get trust, that will get people to trust your brand? And how are you communicating the same messaging across different channels, right? And this doesn't even have to be complex. Sometimes we are aiming so high. I always say this, there's this saying in Nigeria that what you're looking for in Sokoto is in your Shokoto. Who is your immediate target audience? Who are the people you interact with? Who are your peers that you can sell your product or your service to? And how have you shown traction to your target audience before we start trying to conquer the world, right? And in your execution, because none of this will make sense in terms of building trust and building credibility if you're unable to execute. So do you do as you say? So this is, very, very critical in setting the stage for success in building a brand. The next thing is visibility, right? If not, all of this work would be called what they say blinking in the dark and nobody sees you. I remember last year, I would never forget, just mid last year, I was having a conversation with a pair of mine, and I somehow decided that I wanted to be an equitable trade champion. So this is something that I've always been passionate about, but I didn't quite know how to articulate that. And I'm the kind of person that will always bounce ideas through, I always surround myself with mentor figures, with people that I just know that I don't know it all. And I have a way of picking everybody's brain, you know. And I mean, my impact work and everything I've done, over the years spoken for me, but I wanted to start intentionally building a personal brand outside of 234Finance. And I remember my friend saying to me that, oh, you need to start writing. So I took action. So I decided that, okay, you know what? I'm going to start writing on equitable trade, right? I'm very passionate about global affairs, about where the world is headed, about the global South and Africa's role. And I decided to take on, in fact, I had started doing some speaking engagements. And the thing with speaking, it's a very beautiful thing. When you start speaking and people know that you speak, over time, people start inviting you to speak. So that, there'll always be a season where you have to build your credibility through consistency and the other things I had mentioned. Then network is absolutely important. This is an entire masterclass. Building networks, maintaining relationships, expanding networks. How do you open doors for yourself, right? There's so many resources. Right now, there's really no excuse. You can connect to anybody. Networking, this is how I approach networking. Networking is depth. Think about it. You go for an event. How many people can you possibly connect with at an event that you would remember and you'll connect with genuinely for the long term? It's impossible, right? And if you're connecting, with everybody and anybody, you'll find yourself only reaching out to people when you need something from them, and it just feels very transactional. How I approach networking is to build depth, to build relationships. So what limits youth progression? Mentorship, I would say, is one of the things that we take quite seriously at 234Finance through a sister brand called the Mentor Matchup. And mentorship, you don't need to think about mentorship so far, because sometimes, when you ask people who their mentors are, you're thinking about some HNI somewhere, some executive. And, I always say that growth, and this is how I approach growth, so I'm not going to share anything that I am not practicing. You can find mentors even in your peers. And it's such a beautiful thing, because if you're able to do peer-to-peer mentorship, not that mentoring upward or finding people who are more advanced than you to mentor you is a bad thing, but there's also a lot of value that can be derived from peer-to-peer mentorship. And I think that's something that is quite important. If I think about friends of mine who maybe we all started businesses 10, 15 years ago, they're all in very incredible roles right now, or they're doing incredible businesses. Their businesses are thriving, right? And if we've been mentoring each other over the past 10 years, it means that we're able to now add value to each other as we're growing and as we build capacity. So I think mentorship is very important, very, very important. And, finding mentors even within your environment, right? Who do you have access to? It could be a family member, it could be a colleague. Just look at your immediate environment and your extended environment, and you could have a mentor that you admire. There are people, thought leaders that I follow, and I admire, the things they stand for. You don't have to necessarily connect with mentors, but you can have mentors who inspire you from a distance. That's something worth exploring. And something about mentorship that I must say is, when you're looking out for mentors, don't look for what to get. Look for what to give. It's always a good strategy.